just to add to that, I'd say that I've already alluded to this. We have some large customers that are doing really scaled projects that are probably on the scale like a GE or a Siemens type of project. But a lot of the folks that we're working with, they're kind of faced with the chicken and egg problem that's already there, which is like, I got to develop like a low cost application with some low cost logic out on the controller or the edge somewhere. The whole thing's got to be low cost. The communications, the remote unit, the central one, just to roll out and get that proof of concept, get that ROI going. As a practical matter, in those kind of projects, I'll tell you, security is maybe 9 or 10 on the priority list. Security in the traditional machine-to-machine space is about creating a private VPN between a server and a group of large federation of devices, like a couple hundred of them. But when you get to the OEM level and someone's designing a product that they're going to put out in the field, it's absolutely a major challenge. It's a major challenge because you have all these liability issues, obviously. If you're going to put out a new product or factory machine, jet engine, et cetera, if someone can get into that data, particularly in healthcare.
I think that there's another trend that industrial control surfaces, the way you turn something on or off or alter it, are literally separating from the physical machine. So it's kind of riding on the mobile first trend, so that you'll see large, heavy things in nasty environments where people don't actually want to go to the physical thing to control it. So they would vastly prefer to control it from someplace else. Well, that creates a whole set of problems, right? So how do I know that the thing that's telling me to do something is okay? Can I geofence that? Can I make sure it only works in a certain place? How do I know the person operating the device, operating the app, it's okay to listen to them and do what they tell me to do? It's a very complex problem that is accelerating because of mobile devices and these industrial control surface trends.
Just adding one more thought to that, I agree with everything that has been said, and that thought actually goes also back to my second life as an emergency responder. I think while we of course try to prevent all those bad things from happening, I don't think we can ever safely assume that we'll be smarter than the hackers. The hackers will outsmart us. So the other big challenge in designing a system is how can we make it more resilient to minimize the impact if something bad happens. And I think we are still in the early days of that. How do we contain that when a breach happens and go back to safe mode as quickly as possible and identify what has been compromised and what are the effects of that as quickly as possible.
Just one thing I'll add is with conservative industries and where there's regulation is out there on the top. There's standards like in the industry like NERC, which is critical infrastructure protection. You have security in many senses, right? Physical security and electronic security, and then you have different layers of security within that, right? But I think what's also critical is, to Gert's point, that nobody can guarantee that what you have in place is going to basically make you absolutely secure. So it's very important, right, for organizations to have their kind of business continuity plans in place, so that if they know that if there's a particular tier of application that's been compromised, what is it that they need to do so that the compromise doesn't further proliferate into some other system, right, which could even have worse impacts, right? I mean, that's how some of these things are compromised, and then you have rolling blackouts and brownouts, right? Because it's one point of entry, but then if you are able to get through the enterprise network, and if that asset is somehow a path to an asset on the DMZ, there's ways you can get onto control segments, right? Which is the bread and butter for the business. So I think, yeah, it's basically the technology, but again, the whole business continuity planning is something which at least I've been seeing of increasing awareness, and companies are investing in that and taking it seriously.